Welcome back to another episode of the the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. We're joined here with David. He's done over $1 million on Amazon. He has a full-time job. He wakes up at 4 in the morning. He's into bodybuilding. He has a ton going on. So we're going to be talking all about his Amazon business, fitness, discipline, motivation. He's really into all of that kind of stuff. Definitely a good follow on Instagram. What's going on, man? Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I watch y'all stuff a lot.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
you want to give us
so
just a quick background? We're not like big in the backgrounds. You don't have to be like, oh, I flipped my first thing. Just kind of like a quick, like 1 to 2 minute overview, and then we'll start getting like pretty deep and stuff.
Yeah, I started selling on Amazon like 2021. It's like saved up some money, and I was listening to this thing, and it said that you need to put your money in something where you can get at least a 20% return. And I looked around at stuff, and like it was hard to find a 20% return in places. And then I come across like Amazon. At first, it was like eBay, and I didn't like eBay and listing stuff and like all that nonsense. Yeah. And so then I come across Amazon and sending my first shipment, seeing that it was real. And then I ended up buying a few courses. I've bought a lot of courses over the past like 3 years. My first year I sold, I think 180,000. My second year was 856,000. And then I sold 1 million, just a little over 1 million this past year. So it's been good to me. It's been good to me. And I've had a full-time job the whole time doing this. So, I mean, it's a lot of work, but yeah, that's a short overview of it.
That's amazing. I think one of the biggest parts too, like you've done it without credit cards, correct?
I did get an Amazon loan. Probably after my first year, Amazon gave me a $30,000 loan. That's about paid off. I only got 2 more months to pay that.
Wow. What did you what do you do full time for your job?
So I help get people into rehab. So I work at a call center. I'm an admissions coordinator. So we advertise all over the internet, like AA, Alcoholics Anonymous websites, all that. People call in, and like if we can help them and they're qualified to go, like I try to convince them usually to fly. So a lot of it is sales, because a lot of people don't really want to go to rehab. They just want to like, do the bare minimum. So it's kind of sales, but kind of, other.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I want to hear kind of this backstory of stuff, because I saw some of the stuff you were talking about. Like, I have a hard story too. I was looking at some of your Instagram stuff, and I grew up like I'm probably in a similar area to where you're in Tennessee and stuff. And I'm like, I like hearing those kind of stories, especially when you like come out, doing fucking well. So
yeah,
if you want to get into that kind of thing, I'm very intrigued on that stuff.
Yeah, so addiction is a big part of my story. Pretty much my whole family is just, since I was like since about 15 or 16 years old, like, my mom used to like give me drugs. I'd share drugs with her. My whole family, like we did drugs. And it's just like been a part of like my nature of like just getting high. And, I've been in and out of jail a few times. I've been to prison, and I did well for a little while. And, in about 2015 or 2016, I just started taking on a lot of responsibility, getting married, trying to adopt these twin girls, started the job, and like was growing in this position. I used to rank websites in Google. I used to do SEO stuff. And so I self-taught myself. I self-taught this to myself, and I got this position, and I didn't really know anything about the industry. I knew how to rank websites, but as far as like growing in the director of SEO for a company, I really didn't know. And so about this time, I started getting off parole, and I started like smoking weed a little bit more, taking more pills. And the reason that I did it was because I was overwhelmed, and I felt like if I could just get a little bit of an edge, and and I had an edge for about a year, but then it like just kind of turned, and then I started going through a divorce, and then I wasn't taking care of my personal responsibilities, and then I ended up back at my mom's house and back on the streets. And like by this time, like I was full-fledged, like addicted to opiates. Like I'm not sure how familiar people are with drugs and stuff, but like there's certain drugs that can cause you withdrawals if you take them for a long enough time and you stop. So I kind of chased that for a long time. and I ended up like almost dying. I was a needle user, so like I got a very not hygienic lifestyle, and I ended up getting staph, and I had to go to the hospital. And I walked with a cane for about a year and a half, and then I found from 2019 to 2020, I was signed up to get a hip replacement, but they told me that I have to have a year clean before I get a hip replacement. And so up until that point, like 2019 to 2020, like I was kind of learning like how to handle money, how to manage money. My whole thing was that like if I can't manage like $3,000 a month, I'm never going to be able to manage $10,000 a month. So I listened to a lot of like Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, stuff like
Mm.
that, and like kind of started honing in on like the small things that I can control, like what time I wake up, what do I eat, when going to the gym, and I just focused on all that. And once I had my hip replacement, I was like, man, I'm ready to do something else. And that's when I stumbled across Amazon and started doing all that. And yeah, so I got clean in 2019. I mean, I do some PEDs like, testosterone, stuff like that, but I don't get high. I don't drink. I don't do none of that.
Yeah, I was looking at your stuff. I'm like, man, I wonder if this guy does any PEDs because you're jacked. You're like, well, what do you weigh? 'Cause I saw him repping the 120s on incline. I'm like, I'm pretty strong myself, so I can. When I see somebody like that, I'm like, okay, I know how hard that is. Like the 8 reps or 10 reps or something. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been in the gym since like 2019, and kind of like I shared on my story today, it's just the one thing that's been constant, the one thing that like, it's like where I meet myself and like helps me just keep that discipline of showing up for myself. Because I mean, I didn't show up for myself for a long, long time, and I put everybody else first. And like, if I take care of me and put myself first, and like my goals and things that I can control like that, like everything else kind of just falls into place. It's super easy.
Yeah, I know like Jim Rohn's big on that. It's like I'll take care of me for you, basically. Because if you're good, you
Yeah.
could like take on other people. And yeah, the other day on your Instagram, I kind of had the same thing. Today it was like snowing, and it's like a good excuse like not to go to the gym. It's like, oh, it's snowing, like it's a pain. But you're like, no, man, I have stuff to do. And you were like in shorts. I don't know how much snow you had, but it looked like a lot. And he's just like trekking to like his apartment gym because the gym was closed. Like, luckily for me, my gym was open. But I was like, damn,
Yeah.
like it was just, and you're like, nah, man, I have stuff to do. Like, I don't have time to like sit around and like, I don't know, make snow angels or do whatever people do in the snow.
Yeah, so like I listen to a lot of David Goggins and have read both of his books, and the way he talks about like there's two voices inside of us. Like one voice like tells us like the right thing to do, and then there's another voice that tries to talk us out of it.
Mm.
And I've felt that for a long time, and I've never heard anybody talk about it until I read his book, and I was like, wow, that's crazy because I thought that my whole life. And not listening to that one voice that tries to talk you out of stuff, because I will. And it kind of goes back to Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil.
I was gonna
How
say, have
there's
you
like,
ever read that book? Because that's exactly what that book is. I
yeah,
love that book.
so
One of my favorite books.
yeah, trying to listen to the voice that I need to, the good conscious voice, and just putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, it's an extremely impressive story, really. I'm not surprised on the Goggins stuff. I just watched him and Huberman on that pod, and that was it's so intriguing how he can put stuff away, and he's like, none of you guys are gonna understand this or whatever, and like, but really, if you've like been through stuff like that, you've been through like hard times and everything, it really resonates more with God, like where what Goggins says, instead of like you just see him as this guy that runs and says the F word, but like really there is some kind of crazy message there that if you can take hold of that in your life, you can really like flip things a ton.
Yeah, I think going through a lot of hard times, it's just like you develop like a certain voice inside of yourself, like two of those voices. And it's just there's a big negative voice that you can just listen to, and it's been there like forever. And then you just wake up one day and you're not like, I'm not going to listen to that anymore. I'm not doing that. I listened to that. I listened to most of that episode too, and developing that willpower that he's talking about. And I forget the exact name he says, but just
Crazy
doing the
name.
things yeah, just doing the things that you don't want to do. And like
Yeah.
if I want to go to the gym and I want to do chest day, like it's not building that willpower muscle, whatever Huberman called it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just doing the hard things, which I mean, it's difficult. I'm not like some machine or anything. Like sometimes you know, I'm lazy. I'm human.
Yeah, I was actually working out with my trainer the other day, and like we'll do it one-on-one every once in a while, like I don't know, twice a month or whatever. And he's like, man, like he's trying to like cut weight and get like more jacked. And I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm just not feeling it lately. Like, cause I was like, not that I'm not into it, but it's just like I'm at like not a plateau, but it's like it just wears on you if you're going there every day, 2 hours a day. And he's like, man, like I feel like a zombie. I was like, what do you mean? He's just like, yeah, it's just hard, man. Like I'm trying to cut, like I'm just trying to get jacked, and like I always want to eat. I was like, is it always like that? He's like, yeah, if you're like trying to like make that next move. And to me, I was like, I thought there was something wrong with me feeling like, oh, like I just, and then he comes along and he's like, no, I feel like that too, but like you just got to push through it. And like, yeah, I think sometimes you need to hear that, like when people are just like, you see these YouTube videos like, oh, like I just spent $10,000 like on profitable inventory, but that same person's also like, shit, I can't find anything today. But like you don't hear that part of it, so you feel like you're dumb because you can't find anything. But like that person has that day too, you just don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, another reason that like I sort of, it's things like that when people say that in the Amazon space and they're like, yeah, I spent $10,000 by lunchtime or something. And I guess that's cool early on, like it, but just listening to that all the time by like 19-year-olds and that think that they know everything. And it's just so like, it just does something to, like, I don't want to hear it. It's not, I don't know. It's just like
Yeah,
clickbait stuff. Like I could grow my following a lot bigger by
Yeah,
doing Amazon stuff, but it's just like I just get tired of sometimes talking about the same things over and over. And not that I'm not going to stop doing Amazon, but just talking about the same things over and over. And then once you're like a person in the Amazon space, like people will try to find your storefront stalked by all kinds of
yeah.
people. And so I'm just like, I just want to sell and do my thing. And
Stare
but
under the radar.
yeah,
it makes sense. The funny thing on the whole like Goggins thing and these Amazon guys, I don't know if you heard him talk about like lying to himself a bunch when he's young, like just constantly he's lying, he's wearing like crazy outfits and
Yeah,
crazy hair because he's trying to put off that he's somebody he's not. And I feel like a lot of that like clickbaity type of I did this today and this stuff, maybe some of it's true, but a lot of it I feel that kind of energy from it of like a I'm putting myself up here to be this type of person. So people view me like this. So I can get this social media cred and this clout and stuff. And yeah, it's been irking me too. Like I've largely stopped posting content on Amazon in general, like for the last 6 months. It's the same thing. Cause it's just the same stuff over and over and over. You see the same, like there's new people that rise. They say the same shit as the old people. It's just like a constant churn of all these people. I'm like, what is this stuff? Like, what am I doing here? It's time to like make a shift, which I definitely get where you're coming from there.
so what
yeah.
does your Amazon business look like?
So this month is not that great. Usually Januaries don't really treat me that well just because
Yeah,
like I get on this Q4 high and just rocking and rolling. And then, you know, around Christmas time, I slow down and kind of take a little bit of a break and the buying slows down. And then I see my bank account growing and I like it. But still having money in the bank account means you don't have inventory. So this
true.
month is kind of slow, but man, Q4 was really great. I really didn't start picking things up until about Black Friday. I sell a lot of video games. That's kind of what I focus on. And but man, I don't source that much. I have a really big database of leads that I'm on a leads list, and I was on a Q4 leads list, and I've used unlisted inventory in Amazon. So basically now, and I do source new things sometimes, but I can just print off or not print off. I can export like the ASINs from unlisted inventory in Inventory Lab or my big like leads list. I have 2 months of leads list to go through to like compile them to a master sheet, but I'll throw those and keep a product viewer. There's a few brands that I keep my eye on, and I'll just throw that brand in the keep a product finder. And I set it to, I like to find listings where there's nobody selling on them. I really like that.
Mm,
And I'll set it to like 0 offer count and then 180 180 days or whatever, I put that as like just one seller, one offer. And that usually will show me things where people were in stock this year, but that they are out of stock now. And I like finding listings like that.
Yeah, do you
Sweet.
analyze what do you think about the sales rank on that kind of stuff? Do you just kind of, because I know a lot of times sales rank drops on that stuff, right? Where there's no people on it. I've got on some of that stuff myself in the past.
Yeah, there's probably been out of like 20 listings that I find, sometimes there's about 3 or 4 that the item does not sell, or I really have to drop the price. I had some stuff like sit in Amazon for like 3 or 4 months that like I could have swore that it was going to sell, but it did not sell. So I had to get it back, and it's actually on a better listing now too. But I mean, if I can tell that it's sold in the past like year or two, a little bit at all, like I'll give it a try, because I mean, if something can sell 1 or 2 times, like the sales rank probably isn't that good, but if it sells 1 or 2 times for me per day, I mean, that's 30 to 60 times a month of so I try to go for that.
And especially if you're the only one on it, you're getting all the sales. So, or even
Yeah.
it's 2 people, like you're still splitting 30 to 60 sales, which could be really good. What is profitable product viewer?
Oh, keep a product viewer. So
Oh, okay. Never mind.
yeah, that's what I meant. I don't know what if I said something different, but keep a
You said
product viewer.
profit. You said profitable product viewer. Like I wrote that down. I was like, maybe I should look into getting that or something. But okay,
Yeah,
that makes
sorry.
sense.
Yeah, keep a product viewer. Yeah, I just copy like a list full of ASINs and throw it in there.
Smart. Do you
And
have any VAs or?
I don't have any VAs. I did have VAs last year. I did try to have a VA last year, and it was more work to
Yeah.
manage him and go through his leads and stuff. And I mean, and then sometimes with the VAs, I don't know where they're getting their leads from. I try to show them like how to do it, but sometimes I feel like maybe they're getting them from like a leads group or something.
Yeah.
So I'm on a leads list. Have a bunch of leads saved and all my leads that I've bought in the past. And I'm in a Discord group too that I'm not really active in. I don't really go in it that much, but they share leads in there too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest advantages of being in the game a long time. Like this Q4, like I think I might have bought maybe 10 to 15 new ASINs. It was just everything else, the bulk of it was stuff I've either bought throughout the year or like in past Q4s. It's like, why would I buy? Like, I know how this stuff moves. I know I'm not going to get off the listing. Like, why would I bother kind of like taking risks? And a lot of the stuff that I bought new kind of got screwed or pounced on. And I was like, you should have just stuck to like what you know and just going through. Like, you actually recommended one of the leads lists to me, and I've been on that and just kind of like banking those leads. And like, if I can't find anything, I'll just go back through those old leads. Like, I'll go through it and just like compile it and just put in one big list, and then I'll write the date of the last time I went through it. And the other day, I found something. I was like, damn, like it's been
You just
out of
go through it like
stock.
one by one, clicking and
Yeah, I'll
seeing.
go through it one by one. I'm definitely going to start uploading to Keepa. Now that you just said that, I actually never thought about that. But I found something. I was like, wow, this has been out of stock. And the price recently like almost tripled or quadrupled. And I was like, all right, this is amazing.
I've used something called Cheddar Soft before, and
Oh, okay.
then I've used something that was like Analyzer Tools to like just upload like a list of ASINs, and it tells you kind of where it's at profitability wise. But it takes a long time to do that, and like clicking one by one. Like if I can upload the leads list, like sometimes there's coupons on the leads list items, but I have my columns set up so that I can see percentage drop of like the 30 days and 90 days. So percentage
Oh,
drop, if you can sort it by 90 days percentage drop, and when it's like negative, when the number is negative, that means that the prices went up, and I just sort it by 90 days drop. So it's things that are increasing in
smart.
price, and I just kind of, and then there's also you can't list it to where it has zero offer count. But if you have new offer count and sort it by, greatest to least, least to greatest, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll show you offer count that's like a dash, then that means nobody's on it. Then you can go through and see like, oh, well, there's all these listings and some of them are out of stock. You can't get them anymore, but every now and then you find something that you're like, man, this is still profitable and nobody's on it.
Interesting. I'm definitely gonna upload that list to keep it today and kind of see what that bears. I was actually sourcing with someone today, and we found something that it was super weird. It was in Keepa, but when you put the ASIN into Amazon, it wouldn't pop up. Another listing came up, but if you put it into Inventory Labs, it pops up as a correct variation. So we're both gonna test it and see. We might get screwed on it, but it just makes a ton of sense to test it since there's so much profit there. But yeah, there's all these little intricacies with stuff like this.
Yeah, what's your kind of goal with everything for the year? I know you were talking about earlier. You like seeing the money in your bank account, so I definitely get where that's at. But you can't grow the business like that. Do you want to do 1 mil, 2 mil, or what's your goal for it?
I would like to hit 150,000 profit. That's what I would like to hit. So I did a little bit over $1 million at around 13%. So I was close to about 130,000 this year. And I know that sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot, but like in the Amazon business and always having inventory, like I mean, sometimes it doesn't feel like it's a lot, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess it is a lot. It is with my job and stuff too. But with paying taxes and stuff, you only get like a 75% of whatever that is because you pay like a bunch in taxes. So about 150,000 is what I'd like to do. So maybe 1 to 1.5 million is what I'd like to hit.
Yeah, makes sense. You do any type of info or anything like that? I know lots of guys have like about starting your own leads list. You're not interested in that stuff too much.
Yeah, I've wanted to do that. I really wanted to do that. I had an email list. I had a plan to kind of create a course and do all that. I had an email list, arbitrage experience, and was doing that. And because digital marketing is kind of where I got interested in making money online back in 2013, 2014, all that. And I was interested in doing that. It's just, I don't know. I did a few coaching calls and the email list, and it just seemed like it was a chore to do. And I just didn't, I didn't want to do it anymore. But having a leads list, I would like to do that. But as far as like managing a VA team, I don't know how to get to that point of doing that, to building out a team to where I can provide, 10 leads a day to the list.
Yeah, and if it feels like a chore now, it's not going to get any better. Yeah, that's exactly the way I think about it too. It's like this stuff ends up being a chore. It's like a lot of like mental work, I guess. It's obviously not like hard work. You're just like talking on a computer, but it definitely mentally is tough, especially taking all those coaching calls, things like that. I get where you're coming from there.
Yeah, and teaching, it's like I want to help people, but sometimes I struggle finding leads myself. So if I try to explain, like I've had coaching calls, a lot of coaching calls where I've bought coaching, and I felt like I was left empty-handed. Like they just kind of went over like a few basic things, and I'm thinking like, well, I'm trying to figure out like, what are you buying, and like, where are you buying it at? I need to know stuff like that. So with the coaching call, like I kind of directed people like where to buy stuff, and I would give them like a lead or two that like I, was on of what to buy, and I just can't do that with everybody. And I don't know. I mean, I could teach the basics of like sourcing and stuff, but I just competing with other creators and stuff. I just didn't want to do that. And I think about like, what do I want to talk about for the rest of my life? Like if 20 years from now, 15 years from now, like what do I want to be talking about? What do I want to be doing?
Yeah. Well,
That's kind of why
I'm
we
interested.
made this like podcast, not Amazon focused. It was just like it is, but it isn't. It's like business overall, and just kind of like, could we do this for 10 years? And like, we have Amazon people on, we could have anyone on really, because it's just like basically like a side hustle that turned into a business, or just a cool side hustle you have, and just exposing that to the world. Because I feel like that's kind of how we all got started. We just sourced some piece of content. We're like, oh, interesting. Like you could sell on Amazon, and then you just kind of go down the rabbit hole. And that's kind of like this. Like, who knows who future guests will be on? But yeah, no, that's super interesting.
Yeah, I saw you're on it. You're in a bodybuilding. Are you gonna enter a bodybuilding show or something soon?
Yeah, August. So August, I'm gonna do classic physique.
Nice.
So that's where, I mean, you've got like bodybuilding, open bodybuilding, and then you got classic physique, and then you have men's physique. And I like it feels like it's like an art to me to go to the gym and, bodybuilding and then getting up on stage and presenting it. It's like just a form of art that is something that really interests me. I like the posing because like you can do like a really cool poses. Like people can look like decent, but like if you can pose a certain way, it's really cool. And bodybuilding is just so much more than just what it looks, and it's personal development built inside of it. You have to overcome yourself in a lot of situations and self-doubt and all that.
Have you did a bodybuilding cut yet? You like got those low calories?
I haven't. No, I did go through a mini cut this past whatever. I don't really mind being hungry. I know that it's probably going to get a lot more extreme. But force feeding is really hard. I'm eating about 6,000 calories a day,
Holy
and it's
smoke.
about 1,400 grams of jasmine rice. So I'm supposed to eat chicken and rice 3 times a day, and then steak and rice 1 time. But one of those I cut out because sometimes it's hard to eat, and I just got through with COVID too. And then going through like one of those cartons of egg whites a day and protein powder, a lot of protein powder. It's expensive. It's
Oh yeah.
expensive.
Yeah,
Dude,
I
that's
find the force
crazy.
feeding.
Yeah, go
Yeah, I
for
find
it.
the force feeding and bulking harder than the cutting. Like I enjoy the cutting part more. Like being hungry, like you said, that's easier to me than it is like force feeding like that. I think the most I ever got to was like 4K a day in college, and I was like, I'm gonna die. And when you're cutting, there's little ways you can kind of like trick yourself, get around from that. Eating like low calorie foods and stuff. But that bulking, there's not a ton of ways to get around like shoving that many calories. It's crazy.
I
Yeah.
struggle to eat 2,600. I usually am like at like 2,000. I'm just like I'm like I think I get one to just be busy and just doing work and like kind of like don't care about eating kind of thing. But like my trainer's like, oh dude, it's so important. You gotta do this. And I'm just like, all right. So I try my best. We just got like a Ninja Creamy, so that's helped me a little bit. But did you see the Hormozy video where he like kind of broke down how he eats all this protein?
Yeah. Yeah. I do that Greek yogurt thing from time to time. He's got a lot of cool, like little tricks of getting a lot of protein in.
I was like shocked
He
by that
does.
video. I
He
was like,
does.
oh
But I
wow.
mean, if you're gonna grow, you gotta say it again.
I was like, wow, like
What'd you say?
I never thought about drinking like a carton of egg whites or like just eating a whole yogurt thing and putting cereal on it. I was like, oof, this is intense.
That egg white thing looks pretty good, to be honest. It looks pretty good.
Oh
I'm
man,
not.
I was at the store this week and I was like looking at the chocolate syrup and I'm like, we'll wait for another day. Like this will not be the day that I make chocolate egg white shake or whatever that was. The
How long have
consistency
you
was
had a
just great.
trainer? How long have you had a
I've had
trainer,
one
John?
for about 3 months now. This is the third month. We're doing a 6 month thing. I'll be definitely almost, who knows, maybe by Monday, I'll be down 25 pounds. I'm trying to lose like probably like 30 to 40 more. He's like, you don't want to go
Mhm.
more than that. Um, but it's kind of been, I will say, kind of with the holidays and stuff, it got a little lax on the diet side. But now I'm like really zoned. I got COVID too, like the first week of January or like right after Christmas. So those first like I don't even know 5 days ish were like pretty rough coming back, and the beginning of the year. But now I'm like ready to go, and yeah, I worked out with him yesterday, and I was like, I'm ready to do this kind of thing. It just takes a long time to see improvement. So for me, I look at it like I'm not gonna do bodybuilding or anything like that. Like I need something that's sustainable for like my life, so where I could have a couple of drinks on the weekend, because I think that's where I fell short. Like I did 75 hard, and it was like, okay, no drinking, no this, no that. And then when you can do all that, you're like, oh, well, the first pizza, oh, the first this, the first that. And then you just kind of like go back. And then before you know it, it's like, shit, like it's kind of back to like where you were. So for this, I'm trying to take that approach where it's like kind of sustainable. I kind of look at it like the Amazon business. It's just like, it's almost not, if someone, you got to take it one ASIN at a time. Like you're not finding 1,000 ASINs on the first day. And if you did, like, you're not going to do it the second day. So I'm just trying to take it like day by day and just kind of go by his guidance. And he's just like, you got to be able to do this. And it's kind of a nice program too, because a lot of it's virtual. He like pushes to an app. So I like it because I just go to the gym and follow whatever the hell he says. I don't have to think about it. I just do it. I could text him with any questions. We do weekly check-in calls, and then we'll work out together. I don't know, like twice a month. But it's like, for me, it's kind of the perfect balance. I feel like, especially with my schedule, usually when I was like trained with a trainer, you kind of have to do it on their time, even though you're the client. And you're like, well, like, during Q4, it's like I'd rather wake up at 5 and source for 5 hours. I have to go meet them at like 5:30 and like kind of break up the day. So this has been working well for me, and I probably have the most success. I think it's also just accountability, like knowing that he's like looking at everything that I'm eating, like, hey, you're doing the workout. Like when I first started, I didn't really understand the importance of eating. Well, I did, but it's like, oh, like you work your ass off during the week, and then on the weekend, like I'd be like, oh, like, I did the thing, like it's fine. And he's like, well, 6 divided by 21, I always remember this, is 28. And he's like, that means 28% of the time you're not eating what you're supposed to be eating. So if you want to make progress, that has to be closer to 3. So I think that gets you down to like 14%. I was like, damn, like I never thought about that. He's like, you're tossing away everything you did on the weekend, basically, if you like kind of re-eat those calories. And just like that alone. And I think that's why paying for coaching is important too. And just knowing like he's gonna go through, like, dude, like what happened last weekend? Like you're up to, or like whatever. So I find it super helpful. And as someone who hasn't been like a gym rat and stuff like that, just like seeing like how things are done, and like it's just been super helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a coach for your bodybuilding, or do you do it all solo?
I do have a coach. I hired him, I think, October last year, September, October. And he gives me workouts and he gives me stuff to do. My profile picture that I have for Instagram, though, like how I'm like ripped and like 6-pack and all that. Like, I mean, I got to that point, but I just needed, like, I've never competed before. And like, I don't really, I don't, I mean, obviously, if you want to get big, like calories in, calories out, you have to eat more, but there's specific foods and to eat to like really grow, to really, spike your insulin, get that protein to the muscles. And like, I didn't know all that, but yeah. And also too, being a part of, like, he's trains other people that I'm friends with in real life. And so it's like, we're all like a team and we talk to each other and feed off each other. And so it's really, I don't really see him that much. I won't see him until I start, until I start prep, which would be like 16 weeks out. And then I'll see him like every week, every other week as a check-in, all that.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, what made you go with classic over men's physique? Because I know that usually the first one's usually men's physique, but usually must have some like legs there going on if you don't want to do the men's physique thing.
Yeah, my legs aren't really that great, but men's physique is like 2 poses. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just do 2 poses. I want to pose. I want to flex. I want to do all that. I want to do the whole thing. I might do men's physique just as like, because it's my first show, I might just jump into a lot of different classes because you can do all kinds of. So I might do that. I might, but it's not. I like the posing aspect of it, and there's just not a lot in men's physique.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, what about the training? Like, I saw you do high volume. Do you just based off the coach, or have you done a bunch of like research into training and stuff? Because I'm always intrigued on people's training philosophies. Because I don't know if you're familiar with like Mike Mintz or Dorian Yates. That's how I train, that low volume, high intensity style. but that's like exact opposite of like what you do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I follow, Dorian Yates. He's a beast too. And I mean, Mike Mincer, like he talked about like doing like one hard set. Um, I mean, and I follow Renaissance periodization, and
Yep.
they talk about like less volume, but they've come out with a new study that was like higher leg volume can produce more growth.
Yep.
And um, you know, I change it up from time to time. Like this last every 4 weeks, it gets changed up. Um, I do like I probably like working more heavier volume, but I mean it is like a lot more food that you have to eat because you're a lot more calories. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, but Dorian Yates, like you can't argue against that. I mean, and he didn't, but I mean, when he says high intensity, like that's a different level of intensity than like 95% of the people that work out. Like he's a different level. And plus he had a trainer too. Like that story I posted with the 120-pound dumbbells, like I had at least two or three more if I had somebody there like helping me out. And
Mm.
like, Dorian Yates had somebody, a coach there that could help him push past failure and really go higher intensity. But I switch it up.
Yeah, it's kind of impossible to do that whole Mike Mincer, Dorian Yates style if you don't have a partner, like you said, to really push you till there's nothing left, and machines a lot of times. Because dumbbells, you can only go so far without like you ripping your shoulders off. But if you're on like an incline machine, I guess it's just with a partner in that, they just squeeze every bit of juice out of it. But like you said, I think people think they train hard and they really just don't train that hard. And it's almost impossible to train as hard as those guys without somebody just pushing you like crazy behind you. But
I actually
I do
ran
love
into that
that.
the other day, like training with my trainer. Like I thought I was going really hard, and then I work out with him, and like he kind of like I wasn't aware of some of the things, and basically he was just like he would give you like it'd be like a 12 10 8 6 set, and he's like, so I'm there trying to like hit 12 10 8 6, and he's like, no dude, like 6 you should like barely be able to do 6. And I was like, oh, like I was kind of like managing the load down to hit all these he's like, no, you just go high and like whatever you get you record it. And so like, today I did that and I was like, damn, like this workout's so much better. And I just felt I was so sore after working out with him. We did like an hour and a half, but yeah, it's I think that's one of the bigger things too when you like have a coach or even in Amazon, like when you source with someone, you're like that knows what they're doing, you're like, oh damn. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like this
Are you
person's like
still
a
talking
wizard.
or did you cut out? Because it looks like you're still talking.
It cuts
Here?
out randomly.
Yeah, it cuts out randomly.
Okay. Okay.
What were you saying? We
Um,
missed the part after you said something about I don't even remember what it was, about learning about training or whatever.
Oh, like learn about training. Like when I was with my trainer, he was just like, oh, if you're doing like a 12, 10, 8 or whatever, he's like getting to 8, at like 6, you should be gassed. Like you shouldn't be able to get to 8. And here I was thinking like, oh, like I got to get all these reps in. And he's like, no, like you want to try to PR every time and just like kind of adjust. And I was like, okay. And then I applied that to like today, and I was like, damn, it's such a different workout doing it that way.
Yeah, does he talk to you about
if you want to,
progressive overload? Oh, go ahead. You go first, David.
I was just going to say, if you want to see somebody like training with full intensity, like Sam Sulik, that dude,
Yeah.
he trains with very, very like high intensity, and like even with like a few reps left, like he's doing like half reps, like it's like called like a long lengthened partial, and like
Mhm.
still getting all the juice out. Like he trains hard.
Yeah, that guy's impressive. I've been watching so much of his stuff. It kind of has got me back into the gym is watching him. I'm like, I can do this. And his workouts are 9, 10 sets max on each body part, but he goes till like there's nothing left in the tank. And by himself too, just sitting there in the gym 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. It's really impressive. That kid's like, he's killing it.
Yeah, and I like I like making content and recording myself, and like to figure out if you're really going hard enough, like record yourself. And like you can look back at your videos and you can tell, like, because I've looked back at some of my stuff that I recorded, and I'm like, man, I had at least 2 more reps left. But like when I'm doing it, I felt like in my head, I'm like, all right, I don't have anything left. But when I watch myself, I'm like, dude, I had more in there. I had more. So it's cool to look back, and then I've done a lot of form checks on myself, and like just by recording myself casually in the gym, I've noticed that there's some stuff that I was doing wrong, or squats that
Yeah.
like my back was rounded just a little bit, or whatever it is. It really helps to record yourself. It feels weird at first to like bring in a tripod and all kinds of stuff. I actually had a Rode microphone on today and like would set it up and like was talking, which is really weird to do, but like doing the things that you don't want to do, like we were talking about like earlier, was I talked myself out of it yesterday because I was like, I need to do that, and then I'm like, no, there's a lot of people in here, I don't want to do that. But I actually spoken to the Rode microphone, and like it only plays out of one earbud, so I completely ruined, like I recorded all kinds of stuff and it's like not good to like post, but I did it. But yeah, just recording yourself and looking at yourself to make sure that you're doing form right, seeing if you have more left in the tank, because yeah.
Yeah, I thought about like kind of potentially like recording myself, but I'm not there yet.
It's hard. It's a lot of like social anxiety built up doing that stuff. Do you at least track? Do you track your workouts, David? Like your reps and sets and that kind of stuff?
Um, since I do it like every other like 4 weeks, I don't track it. I did up until I got my coach. I did. But since I only keep track of it every 4 weeks, I know what I did before, and I can just kind of add a little bit to it. Some weeks I'm just not feeling it. It's just like I can't progressive overload
Yep.
to more. And and then every now and then I have to do a deload. Right now I'm on a 6 day a week training, and like it's a lot. It really
That's what
is.
I'm at. It's intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough. I've tracked my lift since college. Me and my friend do it. We have like 700 workouts tracked in this app, and I think that's another way of like seeing how hard you're training. Because I can go any gym in the country and pull up a machine. I'm like, I know what I did before. I know if I'm being a pussy today and not going hard enough or whatever it is, or how much weaker have I got, how much stronger. That's kept me. I think like recording yourself, or at least recording the reps or recording that kind of stuff, it is kind of important because you can kind of lie to yourself and act like you're going hard and like not. But having that proof like right in front of you, you're like, you can't lie to that thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I do. I use Strong app, I think that's what it's called. That's what I track workouts with when I do track. But I was going back and forth from Gold's Gym to TrueFit, and some machines were different. So, and since I just change it up every 4 weeks, I just stopped tracking it. Just I can keep it in my head of like what I did before, and really just try to push as much as I can every time. Every time.
That makes sense.
Do you feel like doing the fitness has helped your Amazon business grow?
Yeah, in a sense, when I first started the bodybuilding thing and hired the coach, it did kind of take a little bit of a hit because meal prepping a lot and bulking like takes up a lot of time.
It does.
And not only does it take up a lot of time, when you eat a lot, you don't have as much energy to like get up and want to do stuff. But I do feel like, just working out by myself before like I started really doing the bodybuilding thing, I feel like it helps me. It just helps me mentally, because it helps build confidence in myself. And because a lot of times with the Amazon business, like sometimes you can start doubting yourself and you're like, man, can I really do this? Am I really capable of doing this again this next year? And thoughts like that can creep in your head. But like, just like I said, the gym is just a way to show myself that I can show up for myself and help me believe in myself.
Makes sense.
Sure.
What else you got, John? You got any other good questions?
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to stop selling on Amazon for any reason?
No, not really. No, I like doing it. I really would like to, what I ideally like to do is sell on Amazon and train people fitness, kind of like how your coach is doing you online stuff. I'm about to invest in some type of mentorship there to do that, to show, because I've almost got my ISSA certification to train people, which I mean, it doesn't matter if I don't really need that. I know what to do, but I'm trying to get mentorship doing that. I did try to sell private label last year. I bought a big course to try to show me how to do that. And just there was so much, it felt like there was so much risk involved. And I know there's a big reward to doing that, to having that in place. But it's just when I can spend $3,000 in a day and like have the products in 2 or 3 days and then get them to Amazon and sell, and like, I don't want my money tied up in private label. So I did dabble in that a little bit, but communicating with Chinese sellers and doing all this and creating a brand, and I'd like to do that, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were
if you
there
after
too.
the podcast, remind me. I'll tell you some little resources about the whole training thing and like starting the training people online. I've got a decent amount of resources for that and setting that stuff up because that's kind of like I've learned a lot about that in the last 8 months. And I definitely think that the guys doing that training online and doing that, like it's just no overhead on the business. Like you make good content and you go viral and you provide some type of value, you're going to get clients and you're probably going to make decent money. And those guys, those fitness guys make like a lot of money. Like I've seen the back end of some of this stuff. They're killing it.
Yeah, and also too, just like not even in fitness, but it could be in anything. Like you're in the perfect position to help the person that you used to be. And there's so many people that's like in the position that we all used to be in whatever area of life, and just reaching back and helping them and showing the way of just helping people. That's why I kind of like wanted, because I feel like I help people with the Amazon thing, but like when you get somebody to train them in the gym and go into and transform like the way that they feel about themselves, and it transforms their relationship with others and their career, and like I feel like I would get more impact out of doing that and helping people that way.
Yeah.
That's why I want to do that. And plus, like when I'm 60 years old, like I still would be doing that. Like fitness is just a part of my life, and I would still want to talk to people about that and still help them, because so many people are lost, and so many people have self-doubt, and so many people struggle with different vices of overcoming things, and people are just lost. Not to say that I have it figured out, because I don't have it figured out, but I'm far up the mountain, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's almost the ultimate. If you could like train someone to lose weight, I mean, make them feel better about them, you're basically helping them live longer, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like if you think about the ROI on that, like just living longer.
Yeah, that's a good
Like,
selling point too. That's what I'm going to say whenever somebody tries to back out.
there's actually
If I could add 5 years to your life, would it not be worth $250 a month?
I actually
Or
have
10 years to your life or something.
I'll send it to you. There's a Spotify Hermosi podcast where he talks about his like pitch, and he like goes into all that kind of stuff. And like it's like, oh, my husband, like, I don't think he wants me to do it. And he's like, do you think your husband would want you to not live as long? And she's like, oh, you're right. Like, no, he wouldn't. And then she like signs, he like has all these little like tactics. I was like, damn, that was so good. Like, it's so funny.
Yeah, Alex Hormozi, the sales stuff, I love all kinds of like the psychology behind like the conversations, because I'm in sales and I have to like sometimes do that to try to convince people. Alex Hormozi, like Andy Elliott, those are two that I really follow, but I like the sales stuff.
Yeah, the sales stuff's cool. It's like once I've learned more about it in the last few months, and once you learn that kind of stuff, it's like you take like a red pill, like you're like in the matrix. You learn that you actually can completely shift, because I don't like take a lot of sales call for stuff that I want. Like I usually want to buy something or I don't, but learning how much that actually does make an impact, like knowing sales or knowing that kind of stuff, it's kind of like crazy to me. I feel like it makes you a bit like cynical, learning that you can kind of talk people into almost anything if you're good enough at sales or whatever. It's a little weird to me, but
have you heard Andy Elliott, like the way he like, I mean, he can like back you into the corner where he asks you questions where you have to say yes, like it's a yes answer that he asks you. He'd be like, yes or no, would you blah blah blah, is this not important to you, yes or no? So would you say that it's fair that like if we set you up with this is going to get you to that goal a lot faster, yes or no? Okay, then what's stopping us from moving forward today, or something? And he says it a lot better than that, but
I've never heard of him. I'm gonna have to look into him.
Yeah, Andy Elliott's awesome. He's the guy. He wears super tight shirts. He's like the reddest person alive.
Really?
He pops up nonstop on my stuff. Yeah, I think
I'm gonna go follow him on Instagram for sure.
Yeah, that whole yes no thing. I saw something about that the other day. So if you get someone to say 3 yeses, they're more likely to say yes on the 4th thing. So I think there's some psychology behind like, yeah, would this improve your life? who's going to stop you from doing it, whatever it is. And then at the end you pitch and it's like, well, it has to be yes. And it's like I think it's a 76% increase that if somebody answers yes 3 times, they're going to answer yes the 4th time. And I don't know if he says that specifically, but I know that's like a huge thing in sales that a lot of these guys try to
I think it's like just logic. You'd feel dumb saying no, because it's like, do you want to get in shape? Yes. Do you want to eat better? Yes. Oh, I have everything you need to do it. Do you want to do it? And when are you going to be like, no? Like, you just said yes. It's just, I think it's like that. I think that's hilarious. So I'm definitely going to look him up.
Yeah.
Good.
A lot of it is like information gathering and talking to people. Like a lot of like we have people that train us and like listen to our phone calls at work, and it's like just talk to people, just dig into like where what their family life is like, where they're working at, how their life is right now. Because like when you pitch somebody that's in like Utah and say, hey, you're gonna have to travel to Boston to go to treatment, people do not want to do that, and then you have to remind them of what they're doing it for and the pain points that they have.
Are you doing lots of cold calls, or are you getting like warm leads, or how's that go?
It is warm leads. It's not cold calls, but a lot of times we're advertised on like alcoholicsanonymous.com, where people are just calling in to look for meetings. And if somebody is drinking every single day and they want to go to meetings, like that's not the way to like get sober. You probably could, but like that's not the best and safest way. So like it's talking to them and then like asking them if you can offer them a suggestion and be like, hey, do you care from a recovering alcoholic? Do you mind if I give you a small suggestion? And then easing it in like that, and then convincing them that they, are going to need more than that, which people normally do. People will normally do. Like if somebody's drinking alcohol every day and they have withdrawals and stuff, and they're just going to go to an AA meeting. So that's one big one. And, convincing people to fly. People don't really want to fly, but,
yeah, that's kind of, I was thinking that if that's like that's a hard selling thing.
It's a big
Yeah,
ass.
Sometimes money's the issue. Sometimes money's the issue. And sometimes we have to say, okay, well, money's off the table. Money's not an issue anymore. So what's stopping you now? And, because sometimes like we can manipulate things to where like get people in without having to pay a whole lot. But yeah. And then when somebody says no, you just ask them why. Do you mind if I ask you why? And then I don't know. It's a lot. We have some really good salesmen. One of the guys that I work with, I mean, he made $150,000 this year just from what we do.
Wow.
So it's good money. Yeah. It's good money.
What are your what objections do you hate the most? I've been learning so much about this stuff. I have so many questions about sales. But what are your what are the objections you can't stand the most? Because I know there's some that are like obviously the spouse ones and things like that.
I mean, people thinking that they don't need to go to like rehab to do it. Like, I mean, money's an objection sometimes, but like that's easy to overcome. Traveling, not wanting to travel is a big one. Needing their spouse involved, like I know a lot of sales calls, like with cars, for instance, like you can get around that objection. Usually with addiction, though, we want the family to be involved. So, if we could, get me on the phone with the whole family, put me on speakerphone in the middle of the room and like let me explain, like sometimes I can convince the whole family, and, when they don't want to fly, like a lot of times we have to get other family members involved and start talking to like the wife and the mother and be like, look, you have more power than you think you do. Like he says that he doesn't want to go. And I'm letting you know right now, if you set a boundary and say that he has to change and you're no longer supporting his addiction and you're not going to stand by while he kills himself, he will go get some help. But really people just thinking that they can just go to meetings or just like do the bare minimum to not get help.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff's like literally dangerous. I know alcohol specifically, and then I think it might be Xanax is the other one, but you can't just like go to
Xanax
meetings.
too.
Yeah, if you quit those, you die, right? Like you can't just cold turkey alcohol or Xanax, right?
Yeah, it's a way of talking to people to get them to trust you, though. Like I listened to one of my buddies, and like he can get on the phone with anybody, and immediately they start trusting him. Like he's really good at building trust, and like that's really. He says things like, I've been doing this for a long time, whether he's been doing it for a long time or not. He's only been doing it for like a year and a half, 2 years. He's like, I've been doing this a long time. I'm really good at what I do. like, even if he's not good at what he does, like he's just building confidence and building trust in the person, just talking to him. And using humor, adding in some humor. One of the things that he says is like, yeah, we have to do a clinical assessment over the phone. It takes me 5 minutes unless you're out here trying to kill people. Then it might take me 10 minutes. But otherwise, I'm really good at what I do. And like, he's I've worked with him for like the past 4 years at different places. He's one of my best friends. But yeah, getting people to trust you.
Makes sense.
And also too, like, believing in it. Like, it's not getting people to believe what you're saying. It's getting people to believe that you believe in what you're saying. That's a really big thing about it too.
Yeah, conviction, right? Like
Yeah,
if they can
yeah.
tell you're not convicted, like especially in something like what you're doing, I'm sure it's like if they feel any hesitancy from you, they're definitely gonna have hesitancy. So yeah, I definitely see that.
For sure.
What else, John? You want to start this lightning round?
Yeah, let's start the lightning round.
Do you have 3?
Yeah, I have 3. Do you?
Yeah, we did this on the last episode
Yeah.
we just recorded. We're gonna do like 3 questions apiece, just because like I don't know.
We actually don't know. We could have the same questions. I guess we're gonna find out.
Oh yeah, true. Let's hope not.
All right, I'll go. What's the most you've lost on a single ASIN?
I've lost $600 before. I've lost $600. That's probably the most. I have some inventory sitting there now that's probably I'm going to break even on. But yeah, I bought a bunch of video games one time that it turns out I wasn't able to sell on the listing. I couldn't sell it new.
What's the most you've made on a single ASIN?
Probably around $11,000 to $13,000.
Damn.
That was Q4 in 2022. I sold some of these toothbrushes.
Damn, and toothbrushes. Jeez. Let's see. The last one. Who do you talk to when you feel stuck?
I have a friend, one of my friends that like it's been there for me since I've gotten clean, and he's always there for me to like talk to him and talk through things, or my fiance.
Sweet.
Okay, mine are more kind of fitness based, obviously, because I love talking about that stuff. Top 3 foods to bulk on.
So, chicken, obviously steak, and then I'm gonna go with jasmine rice because people don't realize that how anabolic carbs are and how much that they spike your insulin and how essential insulin being spiked is to like rushing all those nutrients. So people just look at protein and they're like, I just need the protein to bulk up. Like, man, you really need a lot of carbs. You need a lot of carbs, a lot of simple carbs.
I actually love jasmine rice. I get like the Uncle Ben's one and just like heat that in the microwave. I'm like, oh, it's so much better than like their regular rice for sure. 100%.
What about top 3 diet foods on the other end of that? So if you're gonna have to cut, what 3 things can get you through like a tough cut?
The Greek yogurt with some type of like Hawaiian Punch or Crystal Light mixture. Like I get the plain kind so that it's just pure protein. I get this bread that is only like 60 calories and I smear like a little bit of peanut butter on it. It's like some type of cinnamon bread. I forget what it's called, but it's really, really good. It's really good. And then these fudge pops, they're like 40 calories. Like when I'm really craving something
right now. Yeah, I love those things.
Yeah, I mean, you get like a sweet tooth every now and then, and I mean, 40 calories, you can't really beat that.
Yeah, I have them in my freezer right now. I have like 2 or 3 at a time if I'm like really want a sweet tooth. It's like 120 calories, 80 calories. It's like nothing. So that's a really good one.
Yeah.
And then what's more important to you if you feel like you're a young guy listening to this, and what's more important to build up, the physique or the money?
Ooh.
Man, the physique or the money? Man, that's really tough. You know, you only have one you, and you don't, I mean, you can always make money. Money's really, it's a skill that you can learn, but like building and getting a foundation of your life and yourself, and a lot of building your body, you learn a lot of new lessons in life about adversity and consistency and showing up for yourself. And a lot of those lessons that you learn in that like can help elevate you to make more money later on down the road. So I would say building the body would be first.
I agree. I think it's tougher to go back and build that foundation. But if you can build that when you're young, it's hard to lose it. If you can build like a solid muscle
Yeah.
foundation and knowledge foundation, you know.
It gives you a good mindset too, because like, I mean, you could get like a big bag, but if like you don't have the right mindset, like you'll lose it just as fast as you get it. And you know, I wish everybody could make a lot of money and realize, I mean, I haven't made like a shit ton of money, but just like money's not everything. Like it is a tool, but it's not everything.
Yep.
All right. And then, do you have any last parting words for the viewer? And where can everyone find you?
Yeah, I'll just end with the quote that I heard from Alex Hormozy. Extraordinary results come from doing ordinary things for an extraordinary amount of time.
Oh,
And you can find me at Prohaska Fit, Prochaska Fit, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter. That's it.
sweet. Well, thanks for doing this. Guys, go follow him. Please like, subscribe, follow. You could listen to this on Spotify and Apple as well. And we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.